Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the start of our 2021 virtual Days on the Hill. Throughout this week, we will host Zoom meetings with state, Senate, and House members to discuss issues and bills that are important to our realtor members, to our industry, and to our communities. This is one of the most important things that we can do as realtors and as leaders. It's always good to engage our elected officials as they deliberate important issues that could become laws affecting the entire state of Tennessee. Advocacy is so important. We want to make sure the realtor voice is part of the conversation. Today, we are grateful to be joined by several of the top leaders in the General Assembly. We also have a fantastic governmental affairs and lobbying team, and they will share some insights and guidance with us as well. First up, it's my honor to welcome Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally of Oak Ridge, who represents Senate District 5, which is Anderson, Loudoun, and part of Knox County. Lieutenant Governor, thank you for joining us today. Lieutenant Governor, I think you are on mute though.
Okay. It's great to be here and great to be with you. And I certainly appreciate what the realtors do as far as our economic factor in the state. It's something here recently we've noticed a big uptick in housing sales and new housing construction, which has definitely helped our economy. Did that come through?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Jennifer, you can hear the Lieutenant Governor, can't you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
yeah.
You're still good, Lieutenant Governor.
Yeah, we just want to thank you for being here today and just would like to get a brief update from you on just kind of what's going on the Hill and what you're seeing so far for this session.
Okay. Very briefly, we're still trying to deal with the COVID epidemic, and that's probably number one on our agenda. And certainly right behind it is the passage of a balanced budget. Right now, revenues seem to be coming in very well. We've probably, if things continue, we'll end up well over 1.1 billion in new revenue that probably a large part of which is one-time money from housing construction, from big appliance purchase and automobile purchases. So we will use the majority of that in construction of new facilities, as well as for the maintenance, ongoing maintenance. And what we do on our new projects is pay for them with cash rather than bond them. And that way, Tennessee is one of the lowest debts in the United States, as well as very low taxes. And also, if you look at things like the pension system, it's something that we're one of the top 5 as far as financial stability and pensions, and recently received a rating from one of the agencies as being one of the top, being the top state in financial stability. What that does, it when companies are looking for states to move to, they place Tennessee high on their list because they know we won't increase their taxes once they get here. And we're even despite the problems with the COVID virus, we're doing okay.
We're glad to hear that. And I will tell you that I'm very thankful that you were able to speak to us today. And we appreciate all that you do for us in the state of Tennessee as Tennessee Realtors and our customers and our clients. And we're very thankful that you're up there to be our voice.
Well, I have a great deal of respect and trust with former Lieutenant Governor Ron Ramsey and Russ Farrer, who handled most of your legislation and either bringing me bills that they're supportive of, or telling me about bills that they don't want. And it's certainly a great help to me to know what the realtors want, because they're an important segment in our economy, and they're extremely helpful when it comes to our economic development. So I have a great deal of respect and trust in those two individuals, as well as Addison and others.
Well, we appreciate it. Do you have any final words before we move on, Lieutenant Governor?
Well, I hope things continue as they're going right now. We're seeing a decrease in the COVID deaths and hospitalization. Also, the state economy appears to be doing fairly well, despite the fact that a lot of businesses had to close, and I really hate that. And we'll hopefully try to get them some help in this next $1.9 trillion from the federal government that'll be going to the states.
Well, Lieutenant Governor, thanks for joining us today, and we look forward to hearing from you again.
Oh, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And where are they?
We got to go down to the main entrance of Cordell Hall.
All right. So one of the fantastic part of Zooms is just trying to get through this, and I appreciate everybody that's joined us today. And so, are we ready for the next one, Jennifer?
I don't believe they are on just yet.
Okay.
So if it's okay, I'll step in for just a quick moment while we're waiting for our next speaker.
Okay.
And I'll just kind of go through some Day on the Hill etiquette really briefly while we're waiting for our next person. I just want to say again, thank you all for being with us today. And we're really looking forward to this week. This week is a bit of a learning experience for everyone, including the legislators, as normally these visits are in person. And so transitioning to everything being virtual it's new for everyone. So we just want to, a few things I'd like to point out is usually you have a very limited time on the Hill and you maybe hit 2 or 3 legislators while you're there. But because all of these meetings are virtual, if there is a legislator from a different part of the state or a different area that you're not necessarily a constituent of, we would love to have you join and participate in as many meetings as you possibly can this week. I think you would learn a lot and benefit in hearing from these legislators and what's going on in their different areas. Just a few key things to remember as we go through these meetings this week. We have some key issues which you all should have received, and they are also on our website under the Day on the Hill visits. We have our key issues located there. So please familiarize yourself with those issues. And as we're in these meetings, and if you want to be engaged or ask questions, please stick to these key issues. It's very important that we stay on task. We are here with our Tennessee Realtors hats on in these meetings. And if there's other issues or concerns that you all as members have, this is not the place to do that. We've got to stick kind of with our key issues. And if you have a personal issue that needs to be handled at a different time. And we also just want to remind you to always remain respectful and kind, regardless of, you know, if a legislator says something that you don't necessarily agree with. You know, they're giving us their time, and we just want to be very respectful of that with them. And we always want to thank them for, you know, what they have done and what they will continue to do for us and for our membership. So it's really important that we just keep those things in mind as we get through these meetings this week. And again, you know, I realize this is a bit of an unusual platform at this point. Many of us are very familiar with Zoom, but there is still a bit of a learning curve. And I think the legislators, you know, this is obviously the first time they've had to host virtual Hill visits, and schedules are constantly changing. So that's something I want to be mindful of this week as well. Is just please, my best advice is maybe at the beginning of every day, kind of check in on the schedule, because we're seeing lots of changes from day to day. Committee meetings come up and bills come up and this, that, and the other, and they get pulled away. So we're doing the best we can to navigate all of this virtually, but things are constantly changing. So, you know, maybe at the beginning of every day, just kind of check the calendar, because you might have thought somebody's meeting was on Tuesday at 9 and it turns out that it's on Thursday at 10. So, you know, just be mindful that things are kind of ever changing this week as we go through the schedule. And I'm going to toss it maybe to Addison from the lobby team to see, do you have anything to add as far as being mindful for Hill visits as we're waiting for our next speaker?
Hey, Addison Russell. No, I think you pretty much covered it. Everything. Just always remember that they're taking time out of their day, but you also elected them and sent them there. So just be appreciative of their time and very considerate. And if you get any feedback from these meetings that you think is beneficial, please let Jennifer know, whether it's expressing support for legislation or opposition, or just anything that's maybe even not on your talking points, totally random. Communicate that to Jennifer and she'll let us know. We can work on them if we need to follow up in any way.
Okay, Jennifer, do you want to go ahead and let Addison and them go through the talking points while we wait?
Yeah, I think, oh, wait, you know what? I see our next speaker just joined at this very moment. So
That's perfect.
Yeah, we will get her. There she is.
Hey, I am sorry. I am driving in my, I don't know if it's a service area or what have you, but it would not connect. So I'm so sorry.
Well, I'm going to introduce you, Senator. So it's my pleasure to welcome Senator Ockberry out of Memphis to our Zoom today. And she is the Senate Caucus Chair, and she is going to give us a legislative update on from her district and for the state. So, Senator, take it away.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. And first of all, thank you for the tremendous support that you all have, just given us as we've, been in this, or as I've been caucus chair. So I really do appreciate that. It makes a big difference. I represent Senate District 29, which is Memphis and Shelby County. So that includes I guess it starts in Millington, which is the Shelby County part. And then it also includes downtown Memphis, parts of South Memphis, Southwest Memphis, parts of Central Gardens and Cooper Young. And it's about 170,000 people. So it's a pretty exciting district. There's so much going on downtown and in other areas, especially looking at Riverside Drive and the Convention Center, and of course how that extends to people moving downtown, which is exciting. So for me, the core things that I focus on, I think the biggest issue we have to address as a state is ending poverty. So I try and focus on, building up strong public schools, making sure that we have meaningful criminal justice reform, and of course, economic development opportunities. I am in the minority party, so generally everything, and let me not even say minority, I forgot an adjective, super minority. So anything that I do, of course, has to have bipartisan support, has to have buy-in from my colleagues across the aisle. And I think that's kind of the lane I try and operate in. There are so many things that we do agree on, and if I could focus on those, obviously I'm going to speak up against things I don't agree on, but if we can focus on the things that we do, then we can actually do some good things. Sometimes it's more complicated than not, because you have kind of, in addition to the partisan politics, you also have the urban versus rural politics as well that kind of gets mixed up in there. But I have been in the Senate since 2018. Prior to that, I served in the State House for 5 years, 2.5 terms, representing an area that was pretty similar, except oddly enough, it encompassed the University of Memphis in that area. So if you're familiar with Memphis, it was like a horseshoe. It was a definition of gerrymandering. But I am proud to be in the Senate. I lead our little caucus of 6. We were a caucus of 5, so we called ourselves the Fabulous 5. We're still working on a nickname for 6. I don't like Super 6 because it makes me think of Super 8, like a motel. But that's kind of where we are. I serve on the Education Committee. I'm the second vice chair. I also serve on Commerce and Labor. And then I'm on the Ethics Committee, which fortunately the Ethics Committee only meets if there's a problem, and there really hasn't been a tremendous problem to call us into action. But that's pretty much me in a nutshell. I have 103 bills this year, and that's because there are only, like I said, 6 Democrats in the Senate, but there are 25 Democrats in the House. So a lot of times we have to kind of carry the water for our House Democrats. I also am carrying a couple of bills for the city of Memphis and several bills for Shelby County schools. So we'll kind of see where things go. I've been told committees are going to start to shut down towards the end of March, or at least they will start their last calendar, which is crazy to think, because we haven't really had a lot of action thus far because of the special session, because of our organizational break, and then of course our snow days that we all enjoyed, or I don't know, enjoyed. In Memphis, we were boiling our water by the end of the week, so definitely did not enjoy that, but loved the snow. It was beautiful. So I think that's pretty much me in a nutshell. I don't know how much longer you guys want me to talk. So, I'm an attorney and an elected official, so I can keep going. But let me know if there's specific questions you want me to answer.
Senator, that was great, and we appreciate everything you do for the realtors and joining us today. And I know that there will be many more conversations with you in the future. And thanks for coming on and speaking with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you all.
Thank you. All right. So I see that now we're ready for Senator Yarbrough, and I know that he is in the chat, and I'm sure he's going to unmute here in a second. But Senator Yarbrough is from Nashville. He serves as Senate Minority Leader. Senate Yarbrough represents Senate District 21, part of Davidson County. Senator, if you're there, I'm glad that you're able to join us. There you are.
Hey there, how's it going?
Good. I don't know if you're able to hear us, but you're live now, and you can speak whenever you're ready.
Live? Okay, hold on one sec. How's everybody doing today?
Great.
Happy to be with you, and certainly it's the beginning of, or I guess it's not really the beginning anymore, but we're really getting into the thick of things here into the session with budget hearings and hearing real bills during the week this week. I think the big question is going to be whether we can kind of keep focused on things that actually matter and make everybody's jobs a little bit easier around here. I didn't know if y'all wanted to
Hey, leader, can you just explain a little bit about kind of what's going on in Cordell right now, what some of your big initiatives are this year, and if there's anything you would like to share with the realtors? So you can't see most of them, but they can all see you.
Okay, excellent. Well, sorry, and just came out of a couple of big meetings. So obviously the last year has been challenging for everybody. I mean, I think some people have lost kind of, loved ones and economic well-being. All of us have lost a little bit of sanity. And I think a few of the big challenges this year are trying to figure out how do we position ourselves to avoid, frankly, so that people can bounce back from this, from the last year, and how do we make sure that our infrastructure is in place to withstand shocks like this more in the future. I think one of the things that I've been thinking a lot about over the last year is we probably have been too narrow in the way that we think about what infrastructure is. I think a lot of us think of, infrastructure as just roads and bridges, but I mean, I think the group of realtors knows that, parents and families that are trying to figure out where to live, the availability of childcare, the functioning of the school system, all of those things end up being part of the real infrastructure that matters to families to make things go. And I think that a lot of the work that I'm trying to do this year is trying to focus on some of those missing areas where we haven't taken advantage of available resources, but can try to, fill those holes. Like, how do we make sure that our unemployment system has a quicker turnaround time and is more responsive? How do we try to make sure that for the last several years, we've returned a lot of money to the federal government in child care development block grants. But if you talk to a lot of the business leaders in this city, they'll tell you that that's one of the biggest challenges that they face, is the availability of child care. And so trying to move the ball forward on a few of those areas is probably one of my chief priorities of the year. I think we're also trying to make it through a couple of, how much of our politics is going to be dominated by the culture wars and culture fights. And I think we're spending a fair bit of time, in the early days of this session, arguing about, transgender student athletes and some issues like that, which probably don't really, in my view, don't really advance the ball very much for our communities, so much as make good sort of advance people's political interests. So I think those are kind of my big picture thoughts as we go into this year. I think the other thing that we have to pay attention to is that, Tennessee's revenue situation actually has not been that bad during the pandemic. And so we're actually entering this year with a little bit of a surplus. And that's before we deal with the fact that there are, millions of dollars in one-time federal money that's coming in. And so there are going to be lots of disputes during the course of the year about how to spend, especially these one-time dollars. I'm happy to take questions or respond to anything that's on your minds as well.
Well, I appreciate that. And I appreciate you giving us an update and letting us know where you're at. And I would tell you that the people that are watching, we don't have available where we can take questions. So it's perfect what you've said. That's a good update. That's very, that's some pretty big statements, and I like to hear things like that. So,
well, I'm sorry that we're not. I mean, we're all trying to make it through this year with these virtual meetings, but I mean, this is a good reminder of how much I enjoy doing the ones in person, because I always think that this group, in addition to advocating on the issues that are central to what you're working on, realtors, I think are almost, are an early warning system in what's really happening out there, and can find the, sort of challenging issues that are actually stopping or causing families to move, or to select certain areas and not. And I always really value the time that I spend with realtors from my district and elsewhere who come and offer thoughts. So I'm always available, and if anyone wants to send individual ideas my way, I'm happy to, for folks that share my email and cell phone. I'm easy to find, but I'm sure this has been a challenging year for y'all as well as it has for everyone else, and look forward to working with you on your priorities during the coming session.
Well, I appreciate that, and I really appreciate you saying that about realtors, and I'm glad that we're able to have those conversations, and I hope that we'll continue to reach out to you, and if there's anything that we can do, you let us know. And thank you for joining us today.
I definitely will. Thank you. Hope y'all have a great day.
You too. Thank you, Senator.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, Jennifer, are we ready for our next speaker?
It looks like at this moment he is not in just yet, but we have confirmation he will be here in just a second. So I don't think we'll go ahead and get into our key issues just yet, because like I said, he should be here in just a minute.
Okay, very good. Well, I don't want to have to dance on screen or try to do a live,
For sure.
live show. I should really learn how to juggle really well.
Well, and just again, to kind of reiterate, everything from our key issues can be found on our Day on the Hill website. The full schedule, which again, just a reminder, could be changing. So I would advise to kind of check that daily as far as what's going on. And like I said, there may be someone who we didn't initially have a meeting with, but as the week has continued on, we end up getting a meeting scheduled with later on. And just so you know, too, a good question that a lot of people have kind of been asking about on the schedule. In order to participate in these meetings, there is a Zoom link listed on the schedule. So you don't have to worry about like digging through emails to try to find the proper Zoom link for the corresponding legislator. It's all there on the schedule screen. So it makes it super easy. And so if anything changes, you don't have to worry about an old Zoom link or anything like that. It's all just kind of right there, and will stay ever changing with the schedule.
That's great. That's great. And, I really want to, while we've got a second, I want to thank Jennifer and the lobbying team and the staff at Tennessee Realtors for putting this together, because virtual, like everybody said, it's different. The senator just made mention of that as well. And for them to be able to still work this out is really good for our relationships and the continuing effort that we make through, the association to keep in contact. It doesn't matter what's going to happen. You've got the staff is always there to make sure that we're going to stay in contact and figure out a way to where that we can get past any hurdle or any obstacle to make these things happen. And I want to say how grateful I am of that and for that.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I feel like this moment is one of these prime examples. We're hearing from Yeager's office, he's having tech issues, and that's just kind of the moment of the times right now, going through all of these Zoom meetings and things like that. It's like no matter the preparedness that goes into all of these things, there's always things that can come up with these, with everything being so tech heavy these days. So we appreciate your patience as we're filling in the gaps on getting all these speakers lined up to talk to you all today, because we do feel it's really important, and we're so thankful to have these different legislators, key leaders in our state, join us today and be a part of this session. So we appreciate your patience as we're kind of waiting from one person to the next here.
Okay. Well, maybe he will join us shortly. And also don't forget about the rescheduled date of the conference, which will be next week, starting next Monday. We will have still a great lineup of speakers. I'm still going to have our meetings, going to have committee meetings, and please try to join as we have rescheduled that for the weather that came in a couple weeks ago. And so it's going to be really good. It's going to be exciting, and I'm very excited about getting that underway. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that our next speaker is Senator Ken Yeager of Kingston, and who serves as the Senate Caucus Chair as well. Senator Yeager represents District 12, which encompasses Campbell, Morgan, Ray, Roane, Pickett, and Scott counties. Senator will be joining us shortly, I'm sure. And I appreciate everybody being very patient as we try to work around these scheduling issues and the technology issues.
Absolutely. And it looks like he might, nope, I thought that he was coming in. But while we're talking about upcoming events, I'll go ahead, since you just mentioned 10X and everything that got rescheduled for that due to the inclement weather we had a few weeks ago, which we are very much looking forward to hosting next week. But also our fall convention, just if you guys want to add that to your list of save the dates, is scheduled for Chattanooga, and the dates on that are September 15th through 17th. So if you want to add that to your calendar, that would be great.
Okay.
And it looks like we are still waiting here for just a minute.
If I could sing as beautifully as Sue Turner could, I would just start singing to you all.
Addison, do you want to go ahead and dive into the talking points since he's still not on here yet?
Yeah, happy to. And sorry, we've been on the phone with his office. I think that they're just having technical issues. So, but I will go over the talking points, and Jennifer said that they can be found on Tennessee Realtors website. You can print them off if you need them for reference in your meetings with the legislators, but there are 2 issues that Tennessee Realtors are pushing this year. And the first issue on the talking points is Senate Bill 569, House Bill 605 by Leader Johnson and Leader Lamberth. And this bill would allow real estate licensees to be paid through corporate entities. So I know that a lot of licensees, accountants are telling them to incorporate yourselves. And the Real Estate Commission is saying, well, you can't incorporate yourself because you should only receive a commission check in the name that appears on your real estate license, since you're being compensated for real estate licensed activity. So this bill would just clarify that a real estate licensee, if they wanted, it is permissive, can set up a corporate entity, which can be an LLC or any other form you would like to receive for the purpose of receiving commission checks. The entity has to be solely owned by the real estate licensee, which means that a licensee wouldn't be able to sort of get out of liability as it pertains to the real estate commission. Since the licensee is the sole owner of the LLC, you can't kind of skirt that. It does not require any registration with the Real Estate Commission. So there's no additional regulation on licensees. It would just be kind of on the back end. If there was ever any question about compensation, you would just have to make sure that you as a licensee and you as a principal broker sort of had the appropriate documentation to present to the Real Estate Commission. Sorry, Senator Yeager's office is texting, so just trying to get, they're still trying to get on. Okay, so I think that bill is actually up this week, and it'll be up tomorrow in Senate Commerce, and then Wednesday in the House Business and Utilities Committee, subcommittee of the House. We are taking meetings on that and have had such good responses from all members. I think that this should be a pretty easy issue to get moving. And so I'll go on to our next bill, which is Senate Bill 895, House Bill 716 by Senator Stevens, and then Representative Hurt. Representative Hurt is actually a realtor member, so he's a really good one to be familiar with all of our issues. And this bill will clarify that the Landlord-Tenant Act of the state of Tennessee is the governing law on landlord-tenant relationships. For those of you who are in a landlord-tenant jurisdiction, which would be a county with a population of 70,000 or more on the 2010 census, there are certain obligations laid out for landlords and tenants in that act. And this bill would just say that that is the governing law on landlord-tenant relationships, that a local government couldn't add more regulations on a landlord or a tenant. And this is a problem that they've kind of been having at Metro Nashville with Metro Council, where there have been ordinances passed that are putting more obligations on landlords. So sort of to protect ourselves, and then also because both ways, we wouldn't allow local governments to add more obligations on tenants. So it's tenant protection as well. But just to say that we think that the obligations in the Landlord-Tenant Act are sufficient to protect safety of the tenants, and then safety of the landlords. And then finally, we support the Governor Lee's broadband expansion. Governor Lee has put a significant amount of money in the budget this year to expand broadband across the state. Tennessee Realtors feels that this will help economic growth in those areas. And especially now at the time we find ourselves in, it's so important that students have proper access to broadband so that they can go to school right now, or that people can work from home. And so certainly support that initiative and hope to see that through. That will come to the legislature through the governor's budget. And so really would like to be a part of that and the big voice in pushing that measure. I think that will cover the talking points. And so I don't know, Jennifer, if you have any questions on that or comments on that rather.
I don't see any comments right now. I did get a question earlier, and I want to make sure I phrase this correctly, on the first bill about the LLC. Can you maybe just explain a little bit the broker's involvement, the principal broker's involvement on that, and just ensuring that there won't be any liability or risks for them on behalf of the affiliate if there is a team within an agency? Can you just kind of maybe expand on that a little bit?
Of course. So I think that that's certainly a good question. And one thing to remember about the legislation overall is that it's permissive. So as a principal broker, you could adopt a policy, I guess, that you will only issue checks in the name of the licensee, but this would allow the licensee to incorporate themselves. If you have a team, though, it doesn't really change the legislation. The LLC has to be solely owned by that licensee. And it's really only for the way the language of the bill is, it's only for the purposes of receiving the licensee's compensation. So a principal broker couldn't write a check to an LLC for the team leader, and then the team leader compensate his team members. Compensation can only come from the affiliate broker, and this will remain intact because there is a provision in statute that says an affiliate broker can be disciplined if they receive compensation from anyone other than their affiliate broker. So that will be the stopgap for that mechanism. As a principal broker, just ensure that everything will really stay the same the way you operate now. But if a licensee comes to you and says, can I receive checks made out to an LLC? You are allowed to do that. And you'll just need to cover yourself, I guess, to make sure that they are solely the owner or the licensee. And like I said, nothing is required up front to the Real Estate Commission. This will just be if there are any questions on the back end, you want to make sure that you have your paperwork in order.
Okay, and one more quick question. Could you repeat the numbers for the county's population regarding the Landlord Tenant Act?
That is, the Landlord Tenant Act applies to counties in Tennessee that have 75,000 or more per the 2010 census. So one big thing about this legislation, and I think these are some questions we've received so far, is does this legislation affect the application of the Landlord Tenant Act? In other words, does it expand it to more counties? And no, it will only apply to those more populous counties throughout the state. So if you're in a more rural area, you will remain outside of the Landlord Tenant Act, and this bill will have no effect on you.
Great, thank you. And sorry to kind of bounce back and forth here, but going back to Senate Bill 569, it says solely owned by other. Who is other? By the that third talking point there on that first bill.
Okay, the bill requires solely owned by the licensee. My third bullet on my talking point says, the bill requires the corporate entity to be solely owned by the licensee, so the licensee will remain responsible for any actions of the entity under the Brokers Act.
Okay.
So she's solely owned by the licensee.
Okay. I think they were just maybe wanting some clarification there. And that is all the questions that I'm seeing for right now. And it looks like our next speaker is here. So Alex, I'm going to turn it back over to you, and we have our next speaker.
Senator Yeager, can you hear me? You are on mute. I think you're muted, Senator.
Just asked to unmute. Let's see. There we go.
All right, Senator, thank you. Thank you for joining us today. And I'm going to turn the floor over to you and let you give us a couple words to Tennessee Realtors.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. And first, let me say thank you to the Realtors, particularly through your Political Action Committee. I know you've certainly supported me over the years and the Republican caucus, which I now chair. And I want to thank you for that. And we appreciate your generosity of substance. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but we're certainly of a kindred spirit because although it's now retired, I have my realtor's license. And I have and then of course, when I was in the private practice, I did handle real estate closings. That was back in the dark ages when the lawyers handled the whole closing. But I think a lot of the loan agencies handle that now. But at any rate, those are examples of I wanted to use to show that I do understand the profession and have a great deal of admiration for you and appreciate what you do in any way I can help you. I will. We almost every year we have bills that come to the legislature. And I always talk to your team that represents you here in Nashville before I vote on any complicated bill. You've got a great team in Russ Farah and his team, Ron Ramsey, and of course I work with, I think a member of that team is Addison Dower, Addison Dower Russell now, but work with those folks and they really represent your interests well here. They're here when they need to be. If there's a bill that's of great interest to you, they're here and they talk to me about it. So they do a good job for you. But I'm starting my fourth term in the Senate. I serve a rural East Tennessee district, 7 counties. I tell people stretches from the Hamilton County limits to the Kentucky state line. It's a meandering district through East Tennessee and the Upper Cumberland. It's a very rural district. I am privileged now to serve on several significant committees, Finance, Ways and Means, State and Local Government, and of course, Commerce, Insurance, and Banking, which those committees certainly will have the potential to affect the real estate industry and profession. I'm now in my second term as chairman of the Republican caucus, which puts me in leadership. So I have the opportunity to even have a stronger voice on issues that are important to you. So that in a nutshell is a little bit about me. We're just now getting into the legislative session. You know, we shut down for a week because of the very bad weather here in Nashville. And so we got finally started last week. So it was like starting all over again. So we're just now getting the system going, and the bills are starting to work their way through committee. You know, I understand there may even be a bill in Commerce Committee that's of interest to you guys. But I'm happy to entertain any of your questions. I support what you do. It's the real estate industry is a fundamental industry to this state with a profound influence on the economy in every way. And so we want to do all that we can to encourage the industry and to make sure we don't pass bills over here that hinder you guys and gals. That's certainly my attitude, and I think it reflects the thinking of at least the Senate and in the General Assembly. But I'm happy. I think we only have a few minutes together, and I don't want to take it all talking about myself. Do you have any questions that you want to put to me? I guess I'm being watched through a Zoom statewide, so if you have any questions, just I'm happy to hear from you.
Senator, I do appreciate that. I have told other speakers today that we actually don't have it open for questions, but we do appreciate you and everything that you do for the realtors and for our clients, our customers. And I appreciate the kind words that you spoke. We have a great lobbying team and very thankful for that. And I do appreciate that. But no, I don't have personally any questions except for, you know, I know that it's a different transition with Zoom and technology part of that. And I can tell you, I would much prefer to be having this conversation in person.
Oh, I would too.
But I do understand, and I understand the safety is very important, and we get that. So
it's getting better. It is getting better, and maybe next year we can have this conference live together. I certainly hope so. It's and I think as my experience in the real estate profession, I was associated with an office as an affiliate broker for a few years. Until my workload just became so great, I just couldn't service my clients adequately and had to retire my license. But I think my experience in the real estate and my experience in the law have really helped me understand your profession and how important the things that we do here are, that we make sure that we don't adversely affect the profession, particularly in bills that may seem well-intended, but it's what we call unintended consequences that might hurt you guys. And so I'm always looking for that and invite hearing from you. As I said, I'll hear from your advocates, your representatives here. But anytime you want to contact me directly, just give us a call or send us an email.
Well, Senator, I appreciate that. And I appreciate you looking after our best interest. And without taking up any more of your time, I know that you're busy. I'm sure that you've still got more meetings today, but I appreciate you joining us, and I appreciate you taking the time to speak to Tennessee realtors across the state.
Oh, I'm glad to do it, and I'm flattered that you would ask me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator.
All right, bye-bye. Have a good day.
You too. All right. So I guess we're going to go to our next speaker. This will be the last speaker of the day. I think, Jennifer, he is not on yet.
That is correct. Our last speaker is going to be Speaker Sexton. We have been in touch with his office. He will be joining us here momentarily. He's just running a few minutes behind. And so we will welcome him here in just a moment. With that being said, there was a quick question about just kind of what the format of these legislative meetings will look like, for those of our members that are participating. And basically, this meeting is set up a little bit differently than how these individual legislator meetings will be. Basically, the Zoom link is on the schedule. You will click that, and there will be a leader or a staff member or a lobbying team member, executive committee member. There will be somebody in each of these meetings to kind of lead the meeting and go through the talking points with the legislator. And then you will all be able to see each other. It will be the little Zoom squares on the screen, so that you're all there and can see and interact with each other for these meetings. And it should be, a pretty small and intimate experience depending on, how many members sign in for that meeting, but you'll all be able to see each other on screen. And so there will be kind of a moderator of the meeting to go through the key issues in which the legislator will respond. And then there will be time at the end for questions. And again, just a reminder to keep those questions on task with what the talking points are going over.
Okay, very good. It's a very good point to make sure, once again, stay on task. Don't let your personal belief overload the talking point, and make sure that you do understand, once again, that we're here for Tennessee realtors and the best interest for that. So, and I appreciate everybody who's going to go to those meetings. Make sure that you are able to speak to your locals and make sure that there's a good turnout. There's not much reason why that we couldn't get a good turnout to those meetings. People can't have much of an excuse. It's one thing if you got to go to Nashville, it's easy just to be able to tune in and be there with your local and be able to have a good showing and show them that we're there to support and that we are concerned about what's going on in the industry.
And again, just to kind of reiterate, I do think we have a very unique opportunity, and I know I've already stated this, but I feel like normally when we're on the Hill, actually for these Day on the Hill meetings, you're very segmented with what you're able to actually be a part of. And I think with these meetings set up the way that they are, you do have a really cool opportunity to be involved with and hear from different legislators that you might not be as well acclimated with. And, hopefully this isn't a repeat pattern that we do next year. Hopefully we're back, in the halls of the Cordell Hull and, back on track. So I really think we need to take advantage of that this year and learn about different legislators in different areas, because I think it's a really unique opportunity to have a little bit of a different experience than what we're used to.
Right, for sure. Okay. Once again, we're waiting for Speaker Sexton. I'm sure that he is on his way. And once again, thank you all for staying in the Zoom and waiting on these. It's not really technical difficulties as much as it is just scheduling difficulties sometimes. So, so for anybody who doesn't know, Speaker Sexton is from Crossville. He serves as the Speaker of the House. He represents House District 25, which includes Cumberland, Van Buren, Putnam counties. So whenever he gets here, I'm going to turn it over to him and let him give us a few words, and we will end our day. We have already gone over the talking points. You understand what needs to be done for your Hill visits, and it's just a lot of good information that's come out today. And it's always good to have those people, the Speaker and Senate Majority Leader and everything like that, that we can, Lieutenant Governor, that we can actually be able to interact with them even through this process. And
yeah, absolutely. And Alex, just to kind of piggyback on that, I think that it shows the importance of the Tennessee Realtors and the members, and just kind of what the name of this group means on the Hill, to be able to pull these high-ranking elected officials to join us and give us their time. So, that's a big kudos to our membership just for their involvement and how involved they are with things on the Hill, that these leaders are willing to share their time with us.
Absolutely. Also, for those of you that do not know, NAR legislative meeting are virtual as well this year in May, and that's going to be May the 3rd through the 14th. We will still do our meetings with our congressmen and senators as well, just like this. We have those schedules. So please, if you can at all, join the meetings for NAR that are going to be, once again, they're virtual. That's been moved to virtual as well. So.
Well, we are going to give the speaker just another couple of minutes. And if he does not join in, then we'll go ahead and conclude for the day. I know he's trying hard to make it here. So it's just one of those things that timing doesn't always line up perfectly, but I know he wants to be here with us today.
And President Circle has been moved to June 20th to the 23rd in Marco Islands in Florida. So if you can join, please make sure, if you're a part of President Circle, that you go to that. I'm looking forward to that. I know that that's going to be a good time. I'm going to have to start singing like Dolly Parton.
Well, as far as I know, we don't have another update. So if we want to go ahead and I think maybe wrap it up, I know, again, as I said, that Speaker Sexton wanted to join us today and he had planned to be here. But I think at this point, we might want to just go ahead and wrap.
That'll be good. And I would tell anybody who's watching here today, I'm sure that there's a meeting set up for Speaker Sexton. And like we said, anybody can join in on those. That would be a great time if you want to hear from him to join in on the individual Hill visit day. Jennifer, if you can look that up and let us know, then if he's not able to join, then that would be a great way to at least hear what's on his mind. I've got to speak a couple of times with him, and he is a really good person to hear from. And we'll have some good insight, give some good knowledge, and I will appreciate being able to join in on that. So if you check that schedule, make sure you look for when he's going to be on there and try to join in and hear from him. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I know that everybody's got a busy rest of the afternoon. Thanks again to our Realtor members who are here today and who have taken part of and are going to take part on Days on the Hill. We hope you enjoy meeting with your legislators. All the information you need is posted on our website at tnrealtors.com /Day on the Hill. That includes the meeting, schedule, Zoom links, our key issues, and much more. Once again, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Alex, to stop you in your tracks, you just joined.
That's awesome. I'm loving that.
There he is.
Speaker Sexton.
Hey, how are you?
How are you, Alex Bynum? I'm here with Tennessee Realtors. You can't see them, but they are here. They're watching. And if you would, just give us a couple minutes, give us an update of what's on your mind, and just tell us what we need to hear. I've really talked you up in the past 2 minutes, so just talking really good about you before you got on. So I wish you could have heard that, and I know you'll follow through.
I hear that a lot. I never hear it come to fruition, but I do hear that a lot. No, I'm kidding. Thank you all for having me today, and I'll be happy to take questions. I think that would be better on what's on everybody's mind. But we just delivered the Constitution, the state Constitution, down to the new home place at the Tennessee Archive. So that was a interesting morning that we've had. And other than that, we're focusing on budget. We're doing budget hearings. We're going to be looking at funding various different things. We can talk about the budget. We're really concerned with education, as you all know, based on the special session, which I think helps you all as you're looking to more people moving in means they have to buy more property, more houses and such. So hopefully we can make our state an even better place. We're one, I'm sure you all see it, we're one of the top states where people are moving into. A lot of markets out in our state. So we're going to continue to focus on education, work on healthcare. There's some other things that we're working on, just normal election laws and criminal justice reform and some other stuff that we're looking at. But, I think right now the key, I think if you're looking at how the state's doing in the pandemic, we're one of 7 states since April of last year that has had positive economic growth, which says a lot about how I think Governor Lee managed the pandemic and how we came out of the pandemic. And if you think about it, I'm sure some of y'all are from Shelby and Davidson County potentially today. And that's with our 2 biggest economic drivers not fully functioning at top efficiency. They're lagging behind the rest of the state, and we're still positive without them. So I think that speaks volumes about what's happening in our state and about all the other counties, the other 93 counties who are performing very, very well. But with that, I'll be happy to take, any questions that anybody has, whatever y'all want to talk about.
Well, are there any issues that you see that face the state this year that are of great concern to you? I know that you spoke, education, things like that, but nothing that you see that's out there that's very concerning to you right now?
Well, I mean, whenever we file 1,600 bills, there's always something that's concerning. Usually those won't make it through the committee process. But I think we're really focused on really trying to figure out how to make Tennessee better. That starts with education. And I think when you look at the proficiency reading levels, and we're only a 3rd in reading and a 3rd in math proficient at the 3rd, 4th grade level, which is better than 10 years ago when we're only a 4th. So we improved. But I think what you'll see from us is we have the best pension plan. We're best economic indicators in the Southeast. We're the least debt state, least tax state. So there's a lot of things where we're great in. And for education, we always said we wanted to be better. And I think what you'll see from us is no longer just saying we want to be better, but we want to be the best. And how do we make that happen? And if we can get there, that will open up a lot more opportunities in our communities, making sure that kids have jobs, which means hopefully more people will be able to afford houses, which means people will buy bigger and better things as they make more and more income. So I think that's kind of how we're committed to, how we're going to try to grow the economy, understanding that there's a lot of sectors out there, and we're going to do our best to make sure we keep everything moving in a very conservative, positive, pro-business friendly environment.
Well, I do appreciate those. I appreciate the words, and I appreciate you joining us today. I know that you have a very busy schedule. I'm not going to keep you on here. I'm not going to just keep on asking you questions that, I know that you've got things you need to get done. So I do appreciate you joining in once again. And if you don't have anything else, I'm going to let you hop off, and we're going to go on about our day too.
Will do. And if you could tell your brother hi for me, I haven't seen him in a while. We'll see the mayor here pretty soon when we head over to West Tennessee. But appreciate everything that you all do as an organization and association, introducing people to our great state and to some of our great communities in our state. So thank you all for what you do.
Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you.
All right. So without further ado, I'm once again going to let you all log off and go about your day. I appreciate you joining us today, and I look forward to seeing you all on, if nothing else, the next Zoom. So thanks again.